Here I am standing next to a way too busy road for you to hear me, but I am with two friends at this great antique mall in Cincinnati I've never seen. And here they are. Sandy from My Flippin' Van Life and Jocelyn from Crazy Lamp Lady. Hello, and they've already found things. They beat me by 2 seconds. This is 20% off, and that Asian bone pin is carved strangely like a pagoda, but it also looks like Tokyo Tower or the Space Needle in Seattle, so I need to see that. And then there's a lava cat cameo bracelet that's interesting from the Victorian era. This pretty piece here that has what seems like a Picard or a wheeling gold decoration has a really neat lotus leaf in the middle, a different pattern than we usually see on those. They're usually a lot of small flowers together. Now we come into the rest of the mall. Yes, Jeeves from Whole Power, the olive bowl, they were just admiring it. It's $100. Very cool. I'm getting pretty excited about pottery again. People are understanding the beauty of the glazes and all the work it took to make them, and we're starting to see prices rise. And so I'm looking for pieces now, thinking that there might be some upside potential on some of this. You have to pick wisely. I like the little swordfish for $20. A lot of this is Haeger and a little bit of Gonder. This is Royal Hickman when he wasn't working for Haeger. And I like that Haeger glaze with the pebbling. And that one is priced at $50. But everything is 25% off, including the Blue Mountain fish, which is huge and very showy. And this Haeger swordfish, I like this very abstract piece in the back corner too. Okay, well, she was very helpful and we found some Haeger fish, so we're off to a good start. We're going to look at this 50% off just quickly here. The one thing I think is cute is the Noah's Ark color set. That should be paint. Watercolor set, yes. I think we might get that. Royal Copenhagen little cigarette holder or toothpick holder there would be nice for $12.50. It's a good price, but I still have quite a bit of that. I see a Royal Albert dealer sign. I wonder how much that is or whether they have it for sale. A Spove dealer sign as well. Dolly Dingles. This is another Goebel line. Cute like Hummels. Has similarities. But Dolly Dingles was a character, and they based these on she and her friends. They're priced at $19 each with the discount, and they come from the early 80s. Dolly Dingles, of course, was around a lot earlier than that. Cute things in here, Swinky Swigs and Shawnee Shakers. I've had a few requests for celluloid tape measures, and I see the Fab in there. I really am out of them at this point. Half off all these Rookwood pieces as well. I really like the solid color molded pieces. A lot of people want to hold out for the artware and the floral lines, but I think they're all beautiful. Jens Quistgaard did this for Kronjuden. Usually we think of his designs being done for dance, but that's a little bit different, and it's priced at $200 with the discount. They're half off. If that Charlie Weaver bartender worked and was in better shape, I'd be tempted by him. Plate block prints. Ooh, a vacuum cleaner. Zeno might like that one. These newer artist baskets from the Southwest are not to be overlooked because some of them are really expensive new. They're done by artists. There's talent involved, so even though they're not necessarily very old, like a Native American basket, some of them sell for more money. Those of you restoring your ceramic Christmas trees from the 70s, here's a bunch of extra bulbs for you. A little bit of French cutlery from around the time of the Franco-Prussian Wars, 1870s and thereabouts, and prices between $325 and $475. I hear a lot of laughter over here.
Oh, we're giggling a lot. No, I actually want the bird. That dish. It was a good guess, though. I will take this.
I bought 3 huge Haeger pieces already. These are not little, but I love them.
They're gorgeous.
They're so pretty. Yeah, I've never owned the Roseville Pine Cone, and the green is a good color. I mean, nowadays $1,200 is probably the right price. That used to be like almost $2,000, and this one's really good too with the fuchsia. I mean, they're really good patterns on top of being, you know, just sort of big and spectacular.
The flower frog that's like the bird nest.
Oh, the Glendale, that's so cool. I haven't seen that as a flower frog. Weller made the best flower frogs. This Lladro collection, as they refer to it, is nice because they have some information about some of the designers. We haven't really talked a lot about Lladro designers, but obviously there was a lot of sculpting that went into doing all this detail. Vicente Martinez is the one, and this one says it has 2 Lladro stamps, which is a little more unusual. He was the sculptor of a lot of the pretty lady figures that you see. Goose Girl, which is a very famous one, was by Garcia Fulgencio. He also did the girl with the umbrella at her feet, which we see quite a bit. And then Regino Torrijos is the creator of this Gresh figure, which is really nice. I like the Gresh matte glaze because it's very different from them. Now they're doing a lot of different colored glazes. It's amazing to see what they're producing that's so different than they used to. This is from 1986. Plum is a difficult color to find in Fenton, and they have a bunch of it here and some really unusual pieces. The big decanter in the back, large ruffled crested candlestick holders are very nice. The little apron is a really cute piece, and I really like the ewer as well. This is not an inexpensive pattern to collect. The big tall ewer in the corner with the pole is $400, $500 for the banana dish. And this is unusual because it has the pink trim rather than the white crest, and that's $400 also. It's the Rookwood that is a little bit more popular with collectors these days, and that's because some of them have artist signatures like the Charles Todd with the size decoration. It's a half-off booth. I'll have to see what the price on the Francoma wheat salt and peppers are. They have some very pretty things. I like the tureen. I saw a really good collection of tureens at Winter Tour in Delaware when I toured there. Now, this is great. You were talking about ceramics, and it's funny because I looked at that case and bought all the fish, and except for one, and you looked at a whole bunch of stuff that I thought was cool that I didn't even actually look at, so it's amazing. It's so funny. It's like Chippendale. You take it. No, you take it.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even see those up there. I really like the woman.
Right?
With that crazy shade, it's really tempting. Franciscan Starburst, you don't see a lot of this out. Russell Wright, I make a market in this. Ringware, and of course the classic Fiesta, and some Shawnee. Actually, no, this is the Stanford. Okay, let me show you the difference here. See how yellow that vase to the right is, the Fredericksburg pottery? Well, that's about the yellow that the Shawnee used in their corn. Stanford corn is a lighter color of yellow. It's not the white, because Shawnee did the corn in white as well. Here's a fantastic Rookwood jardiniere. This one is early, 1886 date. This is just a few years after they opened. It has the matte daily signature. It's priced at $8,900. It's very difficult, in my experience, to research some of these early Rookwood pieces because the company was so new to fun Rookwood. It's so nice to see a lot of it here because, of course, a lot of collectors are here in Cincinnati since it was made here. I really like the urn in the back. It's just very simple. Cast by R.E.M. Reuben Earl Menzel. And I'm impressed that this dealer has gone to great lengths to tell us about the artist, tell us who did the original molds. Some of these were done for years. Shiria Mondani was one of their first artists they brought from Japan, who is just fantastic, and his stuff tends to sell for very high prices. This is a very studied glaze on this tulip vase that he made. They have it priced at $21.95. In front of the Holt-Howard cats, which were one of my mother's favorites, are these Holt-Howard lovebirds. I do not run into those much at all. Just a little bit of wear on the beaks. That's why they're only $45, because they're pretty hard to find. This whole set of children's plastic furniture from about 1950 with the wonderful mermaid on the toilet seat cover, I might add. I'd like to have that in real life. It is $50 for all these pieces. Some of the plastic pieces from the 50s do well, especially the washing machine with the wringer that works and that sort of thing. A lot were made by a company called Renwall, and you'll see their mark on the bottoms. Spoons are just fun to collect. Souvenir spoons were done starting in around the 1890s from just about anywhere. Most of the early ones are made of sterling. You see the Alaska totem on one of them there. You see some wonderful flowers on one, and next to it, Old Point Comfort, wherever that was. That's shaped in a really interesting way. That makes that more desirable. You see prices in the $20 to $50 range on a lot of these. More on the serving pieces and sets, of course. Some shaving implements down here. barber strops and such, but I really like the shaving stand with the jeweling at the base. That's going to be from about 1910. It's by Apollo Silver in New York. With the jeweled base and the adjustable mirror, that's a pretty piece at $149. I really like this coralline effect on Victorian glass. This is Mount Washington, their mother of pearl, and the diamond quilt optic. And then it has the coralline as little stalks of wheat or grass overlaid. So it took a couple of different firings. It's very pretty. In the back, another pair of Mount Washington Burmese, and that's where Fenton's Burmese, that's where the idea came from. Mount Washington was the first. And even though they're very pinky looking, they did in fact use uranium in them, and unfortunately a lot of the people who blew this glass had a very difficult life afterwards because of industrial disease. Back when Frederick Shirley was doing all this stuff at Mount Washington and experimenting with these colors, neither he nor the workers had any idea of what the exposure to uranium could do. They just knew that putting it in the glass made great color. This is antique Rockford silver, as they say on the tag there. Rockford was a silver plating company in Illinois, and this will be from sometime right around 1900. In this case, a cased peach blow. Everyone assumes that this is Tiffany, but this is Quetzal, another company that made really beautiful iridized glass in the early years of art glass. Priced at $850, they said it'd be worth more, but it has a little bit of damage. Behind is a Crown Milano pattern vase from Mount Washington. Mount Washington really made a lot of amazing stuff. In the early Victorian period, Prattware came out, and it was used for packaging, particularly in the 1850s to 1880s period, before tip lithography replaced it. And a lot of people enjoy collecting just the lids, so you'll see collections of pot lids for these various poultices and things, missing the bottoms. Now this would have been made for home use. It is priced at $150. Some really nice things in this mall. This is a Tiffany slant top writing desk, and this is early Tiffany from the 1840s, long before that family was known for glass. This is a Scottish Fusee movement clock in a wonderful dome. They have it priced at $8,900. This one's circa 1830. I recently appraised a carriage clock much smaller than this with a similar movement at $8,000 to $10,000. So I think it's actually a very fair price for what it is. You just never see these because these were complicated timepieces with an early movement, and they had to be all handmade, and only the very wealthy could afford them. So there's very few in existence. The blue onion pattern has been made in variations, loose copies by everybody from Japan to China. This is original bison blue onion porcelain. A very, very popular pattern with the wealthy and the royals when it first came out. These are 1880s era pieces. The pattern actually has existed since the 18th century. Made in Kalamazoo, the Humphrey Radiant Fire, and you could hook it up to a tube in some sort of a place that you only heated temporarily. All gas and $185. It's in really great shape. This place goes on and on. I've somehow wandered off into a wing that has some really cool things. I don't know where the other members of my party are. I'm going to go find them. I think maybe we'll have a lunch break and then show you the rest of this place. I can see a bunch of sale signs, so we're going to spend some time looking through a lot of these spaces. A bunch of the ball jugs. I've got a couple of folks out there with big collections of these. I've always liked them. Lots of companies made these shapes in the 1930s, everyone from Hall China to Blue Ray to whoever made this one. I don't recognize that piece. It's a little thinner than most of the older ones, but they are just so many happy colors. And they're great for watering plants. They're actually very thoughtfully made in terms of the balance of the weight of the water with the way you hold them, so they're pretty practical. Some more Czech vases. I'll have to show those to Jocelyn if she didn't already see them walking by here. This one's only $35, and it's got a paper label on it, which we don't see very often. Best made. This was probably made for another company that sold them under that label. Here's a cute little Royal Ducks figure that's a little different than we usually expect. This is Katsi. This would have been made in the era where Royal Ducks was pretty much dominated by the Iron Curtain, so we don't see a lot of this, but she's got very cute little angel wings. Some Francoma cactus. Down here at the bottom, this is Ada clay because it's the light tan. 95 for the pair is probably about the right price for those these days. This is interesting, mid-century figural, and I do like the shape of the woman. It looks like something that somebody made in the ceramics class until you tip it just right, and then you realize this is Honig of California, H-O-E-N-I-G. The reason I say it looks like something someone made in ceramics class is they had a large vent hole and sometimes the glaze would get up in there. But Honig was actually a very good professional company that made some cool stuff, and this is one of their best pieces. This says it's Czech also. I really do like the iridescence on that. I love lenticulars. This one's a religious one. But this one's fun because the way this one is done is they have the image when you look at it from the right. When you look at it head on, you have a different image, and when you look at it from the left, you have the image of Jesus in this case. Lots of companies made these, but Wolverine in the late 40s did this grocery store, right when grocery stores were starting to get bigger and change. And you could fold it all up and have one nice little carrying case to take around. I'm sure originally the groceries were little packages that were in there. And salmon is 59 cents a can. Salmon and peruse. That does not sound like a great meal. I've never seen the Lane Afghan TV lamp before, I have to say. He's very stately at $150, which I'm sure is a fair price for it because I've never seen it, and I've seen a lot of TV lamps. On the other hand, I like these brutalist ballet sculptures. The black felt always makes me a little nervous, though, because when it's black and fuzzy like that, I equate that with 1990s and potentially newer.
Yeah.
So even though I really like the forms, I think I'm going to leave them. This is a trivet or a teapot stand. Romeo and Juliet. There's the Adams mark, part of the Shakespeare line. They did a lot of Shakespeare characters over the years, and it's a fun area to collect if you're a Shakespeare fan. They did other scenes as well in a similar manner. Here's Lincoln's New Salem, Illinois store and post office. And you see the Adams mark on this as well. They did a lot of these souvenir plates in the mid-1900s. This looks like the wife of Thing. Oh, what's that?
Is that injected?
It looks injected to me. Yeah, I think you're right. It's pretty. It's colorful. Always like the copper fish set. Next to a pair of Matisse earrings, in fact, a few pairs and some Renoir. The prices are not bad, $12 to $20, but the fish set is $50 because that is a set and it's a little harder to find. It's either plastic or pressed coral, but I really like this necklace, so I'm going to take a look at it. It looks like it's 1930s. It's next to a blue check necklace. Well, they have some pretty things in here and some interesting wall pieces. The two African women are $45. This one is clay art from 1997, and I'm curious to see where this was made because at some point they quit making it in America, but this is still made in USA. So apparently at least through the late 1990s they were still American based, and that will distinguish them from the newer pieces that came from overseas. This looks like a 1930s chalk head. I have this in a similar color. $20 is actually a pretty good deal. I think I got $35 for mine. This is actually not Sasha Brostoff, interestingly enough. It does look a little like his rooftops pattern, and he did make enamelware. But this is a different company called Uva. This one, on the other hand, is the original Sasha Brostoff rooftops done in his ceramic at his second factory in the 1950s. This is so cute, the K. Finch pig with the shamrocks. K. Finch, you can tell by the scrolling around the eyes, those big long eyelashes are your big clue. This is a nice big size.
Oh, I think that's used like doll furniture and dollhouse type stuff.
There's K. Finch, 1940s with the California mark. These old store displays, the lucite, probably 1980s, and the throne from the 70s. It's hard to find anyone who will sell these days, and when they do, they are around $500. That's what I have priced at mine in Florida right now. This is Higgins glass. Love Higgins. Just so bright. They were one of the first to do the fused glass. They were doing it back in the 1960s. It became very popular in the 80s and 90s. Some Lane acclaimed furniture. They did various laminated pieces in the 1960s. This long, low coffee table is not a form we see too often. I had it in the kidney shape once. Didn't last long. These are Vladimir Kagan, and it's funny because I always confuse Vladimir Kagan design with Adrian Pearsall because of the geometry and the angularness of it. They are asking $500 for the chairs in Kagan's style. I think these are newer. I have a friend who has one in white. This is Dorothy Draper, and this was a very good name in Hollywood Regency. She actually did sell to the Hollywood Regency crowd. back in the day, and so her designs are very sought after now. They have this at $1,000, which honestly is about what it should be priced. Speaking of fixtures for sale, this booth is pretty much empty because it was 80% off, and I guess they sold what they were going to sell. I don't see a price on the fixtures, which makes me sad because I would love to have them. It would be great in one of my modernist spaces, either in Florida or Seattle. But lest we assume that there's only going to be modernist furniture in Cincinnati, well, Cincinnati's an old city, and this is a really nice Queen Anne maple highboy, American from about 1820, and you can tell by the handles that there is a lot of handwork because they are similarly shaped but not identical. The escutcheons around the keyholes also similar shapes, but each one is a little different than the next. It's been refinished. Refinishing, unfortunately, does make a big difference on period furniture, and this is right at the end of the pre-machine age period. I think this has been replaced because these look like machine dovetails, whereas these look like they're individual because, again, they're not the same shape. So there's been some work done on this piece, and it does not look like the original finish. That does matter, and that's why this very handsome maple piece is priced at $26.95 instead of in the 5-figure range, but it's a very pretty piece if you like the style. Casserole was done by Winfield in California, and it was part of a set that you got if you were on the show Queen for a Day. This is one of the prizes. And that is the logo. That's that stylized crown. And because it was done as a set, there are various pieces of these floating around out there. They're not terribly common. This one's priced at $69. Another half-off booth. The one piece I like is this root beer colored Italian glass piece, but they priced it up for their sale. I can see where they changed numbers. This is really not good form. They didn't want to do half off on some of the stuff, so they scribbled out old numbers and put higher numbers in their place. So all of a sudden, all these pieces are $45, which is what they should have been retailed to begin with. A little frustrating. This is cool. This is from the California State AAA Association. California was one of the early leaders in trying to get road improvements, and the American Automobile Association formed as a result. They were among the first to put standard road signs out. So this one was sponsored by them in California, and it's got the reflectors, which makes it a pretty unusual piece, and they're asking $625. Appropriate they put that sign on this piece of furniture. Invest in quality and beauty and you will always be satisfied. This is a beautiful piece with a lot of inlays. It says it is actually an English partner's desk with the marquetry, which surprises me because this really looks like a French style. They are asking $8,000 from it, and they say it's from about 1930. Behind it is one of the biggest cypress mini lamps I've ever seen with the correct original shade on a pedestal. This is an unusual floor lamp. It is hard to find these in good shape. They tended to get dropped and broken. This one does have one crack that was repaired, but I wouldn't really hold that against it because they're so hard to find. This one is priced at $895. I loved these hanging basket chairs. When I was first in college, a friend of mine bought one of these for her dorm room. I wish she still had it. I always thought they were cool. And now they are $550. I think they were about a fifth of that when she got hers. I used to see these in pink and green and blue and yellow a lot. This was a very popular 1950s lamp with the double layer fiberglass shade. It's a great style. It was by Miller, and now it is a $225 lamp. It used to be we sold these for about $75 to $100 because you saw them. Not so much anymore. And here we are, Ohio. This is a different Viking epic piece because they have the triangle shape at the bottom and the place for the cigarette rest in the middle. $45 on that. I like the Roseville bookends, and Columbine is a nice pattern because they actually had room for flower arrangements or to put your pens and pencils and notepads, whatever you were using around your desk. $160 is a pretty good price. There was a time the bookends sold for a lot more than the other pieces in the line, and that's not really true anymore. But they are actually harder to find, and everything in here is 50% off the ticketed price. So I might spend a moment looking at some of these pieces. This flamingo souvenir lamp from North Carolina
It's pretty fabulous with the starfish. It's missing the light. I think I have one with the light. I'd be tempted to restore this because it's such a good one and don't see the starfish very often. And thankfully, really, because it's a shame to waste a good starfish on such a thing. But it's here now. It's been here for 70 years, and I think it's cool. These, on the other hand, have not been here for 70 years. They are made in Sri Lanka in the late 90s. This is when a lot of ceramics go offshore. I look for things before that time. You notice I saw that clay art piece with Dorothy. That was 1997. It's right during this transition. I don't buy the Sri Lankan pieces. One thing a lot of people don't do is they don't take the money out of the jars, so maybe there's some really valuable coin in there. I think this is, it could be silver dimes, exactly. It says USA, it's older. It could be silver dimes.
Or some quarters.
Oh, that would be better. Here is Bischoff glass, and you can tell they're controlled doubles from a lot of other West Virginia companies. First of all, they have this very extravagant stopper that's unique to them, but look how the bubbles are elongated, because they would just pull out, and in the neck they just turn into big long lines. So that's how you can tell there's stuff from like a Blanco controlled double. This booth is half off, and maybe you would say I can see why with lots of plushes, but they do have some other things in here that might be of interest, so let's take a look really quickly. Another ball pitcher, this one with a handle. I believe this is Monmouth Pottery. They only have $10 on this. Very good quality, great color from the 30s. Schreider's fezzes. I finally sold the one that I had that said Muslim. I think a lot of people had a hard time with that one. This one has the box too. It's a little later in time because of these very shiny rhinestones. I always like red rings. Various square dish patterns. There's the red ring mark on the back. These are from the 1940s. Charles Taylor did most of these designs, and they're all hand-painted under the glaze, which is pretty amazing to me. And they've got $4, which is really cheap for this, actually. This is similar to Cameo Ware by Haeger, but this is Continental Kilns. If you were here feeling this, you would see there's not quite as much of a ridge here. They just cover up and don't let the glaze go through on the bare ware, like Haeger did, but Haeger's glaze was thicker, and so you feel more of a line there. $15 on the juvenile ware. This blind date was a bad idea for both of them. $59. Not that's 30% off booths. I get the feeling that several of the dealers have multiple spaces here. I always like factices. $99 minus 30%. That makes that not a bad price. I do like the look of the airplane propellers. The top one's in aluminum. They want $550 for that. That's a little bit newer and looks like it might have been in an accident. The wooden ones are a little more beguiling to me, and I especially like this one that has all the riveting along the edge. Although I think that may have been added, because I'm feeling it and it feels like a piece of leather with the design, so I think they embellished it. The one in the middle, on the other hand, those seem to be real. Interesting. Real propeller, not copy. That's what's important. Feel sad for this guy. But it is a beautiful piece of taxidermy. If you lived out west and had a lodge, it's definitely the Yellowstone look along with the antler chandeliers. And I like the glass doors. They're asking $8.95. It is a music cabinet, and it's 25% off. It's got lots of nice fittings. You could use it for a lot of other things. You could store your tablet and your cell phone and your bills and things there when you aren't using them. But it was originally made as a music cabinet, and when you open this door, you will see that it has all the dividers. So this could be a great piece in an office. I think music cabinets are potentially office furniture that people don't really understand because they give you lots of ability to file and separate papers. This is a French sideboard from the 1880s. Nice carving, some spoon carving, and the rouge or red marbling. A lot of these pieces were made in Belgium and France around the late 1800s to the early 1900s. This one with the discount is priced at $1,500. Really neat. These are book plates they've been framed, and they're rather old. These are from the Indian Tribes of North America, which is a very famous book by McKinney and Hall, a history, and they depicted real people as they were dressed, which is interesting because the styles are a little different than some of the 1950s and 60s impressions that kids who grew up in that era had of how people actually looked. This is the chief of the Omahas. These were all printed around the 1830s and on from there. picture the wash sheet. It's really great because you get a real idea for the differences between the different tribes. And they are all priced in the $500 to $700 range here. There are reproductions of these, but the originals are very nice to have. And this, of course, was fascinating to people all over the North American continent, but especially to people in Europe who had never seen such people. This is White Cloud. White Cloud was involved with the Iowa River, and White Cloud is where there is a flea market. And White Cloud was named after him. It is a reservation. White Cloud and Sparks in Kansas. Red Erica phone, a European design made in Ohio under license from Sweden back in the 1950s and 60s. The red is the hardest color to find. This one looks like it would plug into a modern wall socket if you still have a landline, and it's priced at $150. Staffordshire dogs. How do we know they're genuinely old? Look at all the coal staining. These are mantle dogs. Usually these were set on mantles, and somebody used coal burning stove of some sort, and there's lots of soot, and you can see it in the blaze. Priced at $300 for the pair, which should date to about 1850.
Grand Antique Mall really was grand. So if you're in Reading, in the Cincinnati area, maybe you'll get to see this the next time you come to see me at the Springfield Antique Show.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.